Hey friends, welcome to Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. It is your friend Lisa Mason Ziegler coming to you, and as you can see, I'm on the farm. I'm heading to the office shortly after we get off here. Hope everybody had a super happy new year, and friends, let's make it a happy new year, right? Doesn't matter what your, I don't want to say doesn't matter your circumstances, because there are people struggling with amazingly bad stuff. But if you just try to make the best of it, oftentimes it makes it a little bit better for you. So anyway, this is Ask a Flower Farmer, and that means that if you would like to ask me any question related to growing flowers, flower farming business, seed starting, cool flowers, even farm dogs, you can post it in the little bubble down at the bottom of the screen with the question mark in it. That way I don't have to scroll through everybody's name and perhaps miss your question. So if you all want to post some of those in there, I will talk about eucalyptus, because I posted a picture today of my last year's eucalyptus seedlings, or some of them, and it created quite a stir. And in fact, if you see where that one tunnel over my shoulder that is still covered, that is my eucalyptus from this past season. So I am in southeastern Virginia, zone 7B, 8A. I live literally like right on the line. And so sometimes we get 7B like weather, sometimes we get 8A type winter weather. Regardless, typically eucalyptus is not winter hardy in our zones. A little bit south of us, not the case potentially. So I always, after following Dave Dowling's advice, take some extra steps to attempt to winter over my eucalyptus. And why do you want to do that? Well, because the second and the third year harvest is like 10 times better than the first year's harvest. And one of the questions that I got this morning on that post, which I haven't had opportunity, and I won't for quite a while, not today anyway, asked, do I grow the seeded eucalyptus? So my understanding of that is seeded, that most eucalyptus does ultimately produce seeds like that. However, they only do it in the second and the third year. So if you are not growing it in a structure like a hoop house or a heated greenhouse where it winters over very, very well, you aren't going to get seeded. And so that would be my case. However, I do have some silver drop plants. Silver drop seed has not been available for a couple of years. That's all because of all the forest fires in Australia, where most of the seed comes from, right? So I do have some, if they survive this year, I have some silver drop plants that'll be going into their fourth season. So we'll see. So that's my eucalyptus covered over there. All three of the varieties that you'll find on our website, Silver Dollar, the gum, and the third one has just escaped me. But anyway, all three of those are available, I think, if they're currently in stock over on our website. And I'm not starting any new this year. At least I don't think I am. So if I was starting eucalyptus, I would be starting right now, about, the beginning of January. They're slow growers. You compare them very much to Lisianthus. It takes about 12 weeks to get that beautiful little transplant that you can see in my feed after we're done here. And it is one of the few flowers that we actually start in the 3/4 inch block and then bump it up to the 2-inch block when it's about 3 to 4 weeks old. Anyway, so that's all I'm going to say about that. I'll check out our questions here and see what y'all are talking about. I want to say I'm just loving getting all the messages from you guys about everybody that thought their cool flowers had bit the dust during the polar blast now have signs of life, and I'm just so grateful for everybody letting us know, and I'm so happy for you. And that is so often the case, and I'll say this and then I'm going to look at questions. Several years ago, the way that I learned how beneficial it is to pinch, particularly Lisianthus, was back when I used to travel, when I was still doing lots of speaking gigs. And so our Lisianthus, which is a cool season hardy annual, right? So we would plant it mid-February or in the fall. And I don't remember which the case was for this particular planting, but what happened was it was growing in my garden. It was only about this tall, and it was mid-April, and I was out on the road. I think it was actually when one of my books came out, and I was on a book tour, and we got a rogue low frost freeze in the middle of April. It went down to 20 degrees. And because my Lysianthus were totally uncovered, they had no protection, and they had started to elongate, so they had all this fresh little growth. Well, I thought when I got home from my trip, I thought for sure they were all dead. But lo and behold, y'all, it had just killed that stem back. And in fact, Mother Nature pinched my plants. It was the best year of Lysianthus I have ever had. As far as, we got 4 monster stems per plant. It was an unbelievable year. Anyway, so I'm just glad for all the good news, and I'm happy for everybody that is experienced that. And if you did lose your stuff, you still have time to restart. That's what we're getting ready to go into, and that's what I'll be talking about Friday on our shopping show. I'll be sharing all the different seeds that I'll be starting, as well as just talking about that in general. So check that out. So let's see what questions we have today. Lori asks, how did you get started with flower farming? Oh my goodness. So some people say my husband, who I married 26 years ago, came with an awesome gardening dowry. And when he and I decided to get married, I had been a single girl, paying my own mortgage, working. I was the business manager of a very busy animal hospital. I was able to quit my job, which I love that job too. I was able to quit that job after reading Len Basinski's book, The Flower Farmer. And they say the rest is history. I talk about those journeys in my book, Cool Flowers and Vegetables Love Flowers. So yeah, it's a journey. It's really, most flower farmers never knew they were going to be a flower farmer. So anyway, but check out, particularly Cool Flowers, I think tells the story good. Lisa, cannot remember for the life of me, if we plant our 6 to 8 weeks before last frost, how soon do we start seeds before that? Chris asks. What a great question, Chris. And the reason I don't really write that down anywhere is because, first off, it varies from plant to plant, big time, but also depending on the method of seed starting that you use and your particular indoor environment, growing environment, it can really vary. So you need to start your transplants the number of weeks before that 6 to 8 week date, the number of weeks that it takes you to grow a good transplant. And I would guess in general, for most of us, it's 4 to 6 weeks. So I would say I would prefer to have a bigger transplant to plant out into cool and cold conditions. So I would start 6 weeks before that 6 to 8 week period, which is probably right about now for many of us. That's why Bobo will be like doing big time seed starting next week. We're hitting it hard here. How do and when do you pinch Lysianthus? So Lysianthus, I pinch 50%. That my pinching rule is that I pinch 50% of crops typically, because I want the best of both worlds. I want the earliest blooms on the unpinched plants to more blooms on the pinched ones. So I do it both ways, right? So there's a big truck pulling in here, so we'll just have to deal with the noise. So I would pinch Lysianthus once they start to elongate just a little bit in very early spring. So normally we would be planting ours. Well, I will be planting some in mid-February. I'll allow them to get rooted in, get well established, and then once they start showing signs of starting to grow, that's when I would pinch them. And I would pinch the central stem almost back to ground level, leaving those few leaves that are at the bottom. All right, why don't you just start your eucalyptus seeds in 2-inch blocks? I am so glad you asked this question, because part of the problem that we face with seed starting in many different methods is when you try to start a little teeny seed on a big old chunk of soil, whether it's in a cell tray or in a jiffy pot or in a big old soil block, it is very difficult to keep the whole area warm and moist to dry, to moist, to dry, and warm. Think about that. The little seed is sitting on top of the block. To keep that big 2-inch block kind of makes it almost like just starting in a cell pack, which is so very, very challenging sometimes. That tiny little block allows you more control, and it's easier to keep that block evenly moist and evenly warm to get better germination. And that's true with any. That's why we start tomatoes, peppers. Speaking of peppers, our new cut flower variety pepper, we just germ tested it, finished germ testing, and had like 95% germination. So those babies will be coming up on our available, and you definitely want to grow them. They're rooster peppers that were kind of cultivated by growers to make them the best for fresh and dried use. And if you want to be on the wait list, you need to go to our phone app. Just search, it's not on our website. Just go to our app, search peppers, and when it comes up, get on the wait list, because I can tell you that we may sell out of seed to the wait list. But same thing, we like to bump up tomatoes, peppers, eucalyptus, up to the 2-inch block. But there is a very good reason that we don't start in the big block, because it's very difficult to get good germination that way. So that's why you bump them up. All right, tip for weed control. Valerie Grows asks, tips for weed control in the spring. Well, glad you asked that too. So there's as many cool season weeds as there are cool flowers, right? So you definitely, what I used to do back in the day before I kind of got really in sync with my garden is I would kind of just wait until spring came and come out to my garden and go, oh my gosh, it's covered in chickweed and henbit. Weeding and weed prevention is like a year-round task. There is no one solution, first off, for weeds. I'm not a user of landscape fabric except occasionally in pathways out of desperation. We've never grown it on our beds. It's a false illusion that it prevents weeds, and it actually can choke your soil if you leave it down. So my method of madness is that first off, we always plant transplants into mulched bed. That mulch can be Bio 360 film. It can be an organic mulch, but we always plant plants into mulch. So it's mulched. The mulching is the weed prevention. Step 1 is done before we even plant. That's for transplants. And if I direct seed, as those Bells of Ireland beds that I was tooting all over the place because it survived the polar blast, those were direct seeded. And then about 14 days after they were sowed, and they're just little teeny weeny babies, I start my weekly running my garden hoe through it. And that's about 100-foot bed, I think, 3 rows in there. It takes me less than 5 minutes to do. If you want to see the hoe in action and how I do that, you can go to our store at thegardenersworkshop.com. Go find the hoe, just search hoe, Hoe, and on the product there's videos that you can actually watch. Weed prevention is the secret, and those that get away from you, get them while they're small. We have pretty much a weed-free spring because Bobo is constantly, always weeding or pulling what few weeds there are, and once you get a handle, it really gets better over time. All right, let's see. Michael and Kim's garden. Hi, would you consider straw flowers a cool flower in zone 8B? So first off, Cool Flowers is the name of the book that I wrote about cool season hardy annuals. And cool season hardy annuals are a cool season hardy annual no matter where they are. What's different or varies amongst the group is that they have different varying winter low temperatures that they'll survive. Those that survive your winter lowest temperature, could fall plant, but everybody can typically plant them up to 6 to 8 weeks before your last spring frost. Straw flowers are not typically winter hardy here where I am in 8A, 7B. So we plant a lot of them in very early spring. Straw flowers are an unsung hero. They are amazing bouquet flowers. Our florist would buy them whenever they were available. Our bouquet makers absolutely loved them. So we plant them in very early spring, which is the 6 to 8 weeks before your last spring frost. And then we also succession plant them. We do them about every 4 to 6 weeks after that date for 2 to 3 more times. So when they get planted into warmer conditions, straw flowers still will do okay. They won't get 48 inches tall like the early plantings do, but they definitely get tall enough. So straw flowers would be in 8B. You may even be able to fall plant them there. That would be an experiment. But here's my take. Straw flowers planted in very early spring get almost 48 inches tall and are very healthy, robust plants. I don't find a need for me to try to plant them in the fall. You know, that's the big fall benefit, right? They may bloom a little bit earlier, but anyway, that's my take on that. Fields of Grace, what is your favorite method and tool for beds and plants planting? Let me read that again. What is your favorite method and tool for beds and plants planting? All right, so I'm glad you asked that too, because I see people all over social media right now asking other people about apps and spreadsheets and all that stuff, and I have access to all that stuff. But friends, that giant calendar that I talk about that's in Cool Flowers, I think it's also in Vegetables Love Flowers, it's in my course, that big jumbo at a glance wall calendar that one day is 2x4 is what runs my farm. And it's starting to sprinkle rain here. I may have to go inside. And it is like the best garden journal ever. It is the easiest to refer back to. I am definitely a visual person. You know, being severely dyslexic makes me the kind I need to see and actually touch and I memorize things. Planning my garden from year to year is so fun and so easy using that big calendar. I have like 10 years. I have more than that, probably 12 years of those big calendars, and this is what I do. So this time of the year, it'll be happening next week probably, because I hit the button on a big project today, y'all. I hit the send button. So what I will do is we set up a couple of 6 or 8 foot tables side by side, like you're having a bunch of people over to dinner. We pull out all my calendars, and I start in January. They're all on January. And I just walk along and read and reminisce and see, what did I start? Because on that calendar is what we started, how many we started, what colors we started, and then I make my other notes on there. And it's the best garden journal planning tool that I have. And spreadsheets are great, but that calendar keeps everybody on my farm on the same page. And anybody, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, anybody can go and figure out the next plan and gather all that information. So I would say the at a glance jumbo calendar is the bomb, and that's my best tool. Where do you get the calendar? I saw that Jessie was on here. I don't know if Jessie's on here. I actually have an affiliate link through the Big A that if she's on here, maybe she can post it. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but you can find it. I mean, At a Glance is a brand, and it's the jumbo wall calendar, and each day of a month, one page is a month. One square is like 2 by 4 inches. So you really get opportunity to write all of the details, because you're not writing a book in there, y'all. You're just writing the information that'll be really beneficial to you when you look back at it. Do you sell a soil blocking mixture, just add water, or do you have to make the recipe? So we no longer sell the ready-made blocking mix. We had a real supply chain problem, and so here's and I did this, and I'm sure I'll be doing it in the coming weeks. The way to make it convenient to make your own soil, which is definitely the most cost-efficient way to do it, is to get your peat moss or cocoa fiber. I personally prefer peat moss. Get a bunch of that, get a couple bags of compost, and do all your sifting at one time. We sell a great sifter. If you need one, it fits on a 5-gallon bucket. You can just spend a day doing it. And by the way, children love to do it. It's kind of fun on a 5-gallon bucket. And then I store those ingredients prepared in a galvanized trash can with a top. I have a trash can full of sifted peat moss, and I have a trash can full of sifted compost. And then when it comes time to make soil block and mix, I have the measuring tools, you know, the scoops right there. I can scoop 3 of these and or 4 of these and 1 of these and put them in and mix it up and add the nutrient mix. So the sifting is what's a pain in the butt. But if you just do it one afternoon, you just won't believe. I mean, it's kind of like the other things that I just want to say to people is, it's like, do not let January and February be wasted. This is the time of the year that I make myself so much more efficient for the whole harvest season, and that is one of those steps. So check it out. thegardenersworkshop.com is where you'll find the recipe, the sifter, and the nutrient mix. Then you just get your compost, and we buy it in the bag. Doesn't matter if it's composted manure, composted whatever. It's just a finished compost product. Worm castings are fine too. The key is they all just have to be completely processed or cooked. Okay? All right. Favorite salvia varieties for cut flowers. So I'm not a big salvia fan. First off, they're pretty fragrant, and that's not always a hot topic with Florist, because all it takes is one customer to complain about fragrance in an arrangement and they'll never buy it again. So that keeps me, I don't grow any annual salvias anymore. I used to grow one called Blue Better, Bedder. But the blooms just weren't that big and great, and it had a fragrance, and customer complained, so I stopped growing it. I mean, y'all, it's all about the bottom dollar. The bottom line is it, right? But I do grow Salvia leucanthea and Salvia mexicana. Both of those are started by root cuttings, by cutting and rooting them. I can't even speak. And if you need to see how to do that, you can go to my YouTube channel and go back to like last May and June, and you can see it. That was part of my weekly live that I would do. All right. Hey, friend. Oh, here's my friend Mark. Mark. Hey, friend. How often should we replace grow light bulbs? So, Mark, what a great question. So if they are true grow light bulbs, meaning they're super, I don't know the science of all this. And friends, that's the secret to becoming a flower farmer. You do not need to be an expert in every single area. You rely on other people. So what one of the universities came out and said, if you're using true grow lights, they have more UVs, whatever, then you use them until they burn out, but they cost a lot more. If you're using regular fluorescent lights, then replacing them every season is probably a good idea, or at least every other season. So I do it about every other year because I have a lot of grow lights, and you can actually do like replace half the bulbs in the fixture, you know what I mean? Get them on a back and forth. But again, who's going to keep up with all that? So that's all I know. All right, my eucalyptus sprouted. I took them off the heat mat and put the blocks under T8 grow lights. The blocks seem so cold, not drying out well. Should I put them back on the heat or increase air temperature? No, do not put them back on the heat. But you definitely need, that is not a cool flower. Those are warm season tender annuals, basically, or tender perennials, which means they don't always survive winter. The air temperature should be like 75 to 85 degrees. They do not have the same growing conditions as cool flowers. So you need a warm spot that'll dry them out, and water them every morning. So yeah, definitely bump your air temperature, not the soil temperature. I froze my Bupleurum seeds, then took them out, but did not plant them. Are the seeds ruined? Nope, not at all. And we start Bupleurum. We succession plant Bupleurum, I can't even speak, y'all, because we can sell Bupleurum every single week that we had it. And even when you plant it, so we fall plant direct seed it. That does, we get 48-inch gorgeous Bupleurum. Well, you can't direct seed this time of the year. Although it is 70 degrees here today, this is not the way it's supposed to be. Typically, you can't direct seed this time of the year. So somewhere, and I can't remember where it is actually, I talk about how I sow seeds on the surface of moistened plug trays, then turn another plug tray upside down on top of it and stick it in a cool place like in a garage or on the bottom of your grow rack, and don't look under that tray that's on top of it creating darkness for 10 days, and they'll sprout. And then you grow them as a transplant. I put 3 to 4 seeds per cell. I do not thin them, and then we plant them out as soon as they're big enough to get out of the plug tray. And I would do that every week if I was in a commercial high production anymore. But your seeds are fine. Bupleurum seems hard to start from seed because it's slow. Can I plant ranunculus now in zone 6B? I cannot answer any ranunculus questions because I don't grow ranunculus. I once, many years ago, grew anemones and ranunculuses one time for a total fail. It's just very difficult in my outdoor conditions. So I'm sorry, I have no know-how on that. All right, Dreamland Flower Farm. If I'm the farm, I want to sell peony roots and my plants have been in the ground for 8 years. How much of the roots should be divided off? I have no idea. Or do I simply dig up the whole clump? You need to talk to people that sell plants or sell roots or that are experienced nurserymen, because I have no idea if you have to go through a certification to certify that they don't have disease. I think I saw Wanda on here. Wanda is our Alaskan peony grower, one of my great students, and could become a really good friend. So that is Fox Hollow peonies. You need to ask a peony grower because I have no clue what the answer to that question is. All right, last question. I watched your video last night. Don't you plant seeds in February? Don't you plant seeds in February? I don't know which video you were speaking of. We start seeds inside, but we don't do any direct seeding in the spring or very early spring or spring. Everything is planted by transplants. So we will Friday, inside the Gardener's Workshop phone app, our live show is on Fridays at 12 noon Eastern time. And this week we're going to be going through the cool flowers, and AKA, word is that my palette of cool flower books will be here next week. Y'all will be the first to know. If you need a book and you're not on our wait list, you need to get on the wait list. The wait list is either, you can do it in both places, on the website or inside the phone app. Get on the wait list, because last time we literally sold the entire shipment out in hours to the wait list, pretty much. So if you need a book and you need it fast, then you need to get on the wait list and get your book. So you can do that there. And so Friday I will be going through, first off, I haven't reviewed what they have lined up for the show, but I'm guessing that I'm going to be showing, talking about the seeds that Bobo will be starting next week, which are those cool flowers that we plant in very early spring. Of course, if you need to have a strategy, if you did lose a lot of your plants from the polar blast that we had, if you lost stuff, I shared my strategy. Where did I do that? I think I did it on YouTube and Facebook. No, it would have just been YouTube. I did a video today's Wednesday, I think it was like Saturday. I did a YouTube about, and I think it says cool flower strategy or something. Anyway, if you need to know if you should restart stuff or the steps I go through, the questions I ask myself about whether I do want to restart some stuff. So, friends, I am just really pleased as punch to say that I'm offloading a major project, or at least the first half of it, today. And the warehouse is slamming busy. Y'all just about bought everything we had over the holidays, and they're still shipping. And of course, the post office is overwhelmed. So the girls are working as fast as they can, and we thank you all so much. I'm sorry, Karen, getting on to be notified, and on the wait list is the same thing. So that's what you want to do. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was worded two different ways. We appreciate, all of us do, the whole team of Gardener's Workshop, appreciate y'all supporting us and sponsoring us in all of your ways by sharing with your friends about us and about our courses. And, you know, we just love doing it. And so we're back at it. So on Fridays, the live show is started back up. And this Saturday, I'll be doing a seed starting Saturday, which will be on YouTube and Facebook. So you can find me wherever your favorite social media platform is. And friends, the thing that you can do to help us the most is to like and share our broadcast, to invite people, and to subscribe, like on our YouTube channel. And so the things that I want to tell you about that I don't want you all to miss out on is the pepper seeds, which you need to get on that wait list. That seed's not, we've got it. It's being literally harvested to be packaged. We do have the Texas plume celosia. Oh my gosh, we have already sold so much of it. So we now are having that custom grown for us by my good friend Emily in North Carolina, and she brought it. She brought the harvest of last year. You do not want to miss that. It is tall, big, gorgeous plumes in colors, vanilla, soft yellow, shrimp. I mean, they're just beautiful. So you can find that on the website, and we even have growers bundles. We have 3 jumbo packs, which I think are 300 seeds each. And so it is very competitive with growing Sunday, which can be short sometimes. I mean, I love Sunday, but anyway, so check it all out at thegardenersworkshop.com, or join me for the show on Friday, and we'll go through what you got to have, what you need, and what you should be doing. And friends, we have a lot of great new stuff coming on board at the Gardener's Workshop for 2023, and I just love y'all coming along with us and helping us get the word out and to share it with you. So till we meet again, y'all, ciao.